Chapter 728, Shape of Dragon and Snake. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Swoosh. Snake 2's body, like a white snake shadow, seemed quite unreal. The blue water dragon patterned sword didn't pierce her head. Instead, she wrapped her slim and tender body around the sword and quickly approached Zhang Yuochen. Even though the sword continuously ejected strong sword chi, it didn't hurt her at all. Snake Phantom Move. This was a superior class ghost level martial technique, suitable for melee. It allowed fighters to move like a dragon and sneak and change their combat techniques like a ghost, making them omnipresent and invincible. Monks of the Fish Dragon realm, who could practice one set of superior class ghost level martial techniques and reach big success, were considered outstanding talents. This was true even for first level half saints. If their martial techniques could reach the superior class of the ghost level, they would become superiors among their peers. Saintly beings in the ninth change in the Fish Dragon realm who could practice superior class ghost level martial techniques would be able to compete with some inferior first level half saints. Moreover, the Snake Phantom Move practiced by Snake 2 was a type of superior class ghost level martial technique that was more difficult to practice compared to other ordinary techniques. Furthermore, in combat, the smart bodily movements and martial techniques gave fighters overwhelming advantages. In other words, the Snake Phantom Move enabled Snake 2 to stand among the top masters in the ninth change in the Fish Dragon realm. Snake 2 giggled before condensing holy chi into a snake-shaped sword. She thrust at Zhang Yuochen with her sword, aiming for his heart. Confronted with such a smart and weird bodily movement, even Zhang Yuochen couldn't dodge. As her holy sword got closer and closer, Zhang Yuochen injected all of his holy chi into the shooting star invisible cloak. Boom! The snake-shaped sword hit Zhang Yuochen on the left side of his chest and collided with the holy lights flowing above the shooting star invisible cloak, immediately creating holy chi ripples. Though the shooting star invisible cloak blocked 90% of the sword power, the remaining 10% broke through the cloak and hit Zhang Yuochen. Zhang Yuochen instantly felt pain in his heart. His whole body became numb as if his body was going to shatter. He slid about 30 meters backward before he managed to lower his body to keep himself steady. Suddenly, everyone in the Colosseum became extremely silent. Many of them saw Snake 2's sword stab Lin Yue on the left side of his chest. The heart was the most vulnerable part of a monk. Lin Yue's heart had been hit by the powerful strike of a master like Snake 2. How could he survive? Impossible. Mu Lingxi's eyes became watery. She gripped her hands, worried about Zhang Yuochen's safety. She rushed toward the Colosseum, ignoring her identity as a demonic saintess. Swoosh! Captain Rat saw Mu Lingxi approaching the Colosseum. He muttered before performing his bodily movement and rushing toward her like a flash of light to block her way. He grinned wickedly. Lady Saint from the Mu family, where are you going? As his lustful eyes stared at Mu Lingxi's gorgeous, heavenly face, Captain Rat touched the beard on his chin. Mu Lingxi was extremely beautiful. It was not an exaggeration to call her the most beautiful woman in the eastern region. As an amorous man, Captain Rat longed for her. None of your business. Mu Lingxi snorted, with her eyes full of disdain. Although Mu Lingxi was not afraid of Captain Rat, she had to admit that her cultivation was not high enough to compete with him. With Captain Rat standing in her way, Mu Lingxi couldn't get close to the Colosseum. Nearby, Ouyang Huan had noticed Mu Lingxi's abnormal behavior. He looked at Lin Yue who was standing on the Colosseum, and his sharp eyes suggested that he was pondering. The relationship between the Lady Saint of Mu family and Lin Yue seemed quite unusual. On the Colosseum, swoosh! Snake 2's blurry shadows overlapped with each other and condensed into her true body. She stared at Zhang Yuochen and smiled. You actually forced me to use the Snake Phantom Move. Even if you die, it will be an honorable death for you. Then, she walked toward Zhang Yuochen to retrieve the divine dragon bone. I'm afraid it's not that easy to kill me. Zhang Yuochen, who was crouching on the ground, suddenly raised his head. He slowly stood up while rubbing the left side of his chest with his palm. Then, he stared at Snake 2 again. His holy chi gushed out like a fountain, indicating his unprecedented war intent. Snake 2 was stunned. She immediately took 2 steps backward and said, How are you still able to stand up after my strike? Any other person would have died after being struck in the heart by Snake 2's sword. However, the golden dragon's golden pearl that was inside Zhang Yuochen's heart had blocked her sword chi. He sustained no injury aside from the impeded circulation of blood and holy chi. After a few moments of breath control, he was fully recovered. Fortunately, Snake 2 had thrust at Zhang Yuochen's heart where there was the strongest protection. If she had aimed at other parts, he would have been seriously injured. Seeing Zhang Yuochen stand up, everyone was relieved. Snake 2 is powerful, but it seems that Lin Yue has techniques that he had not displayed until now. It's impressive. This fight is getting more and more interesting. Phew. Zhang Yuochen raised his arm, threw out the blue water dragon patterned sword and gave it back to Ao Xinyan. Though the blue water dragon patterned sword was powerful, it couldn't compete with the one owned by Snake 2. Besides, the sword didn't belong to Zhang Yuochen, so it didn't give him the feeling of kinship. When he used it to perform sword techniques, it wasn't handy. It could be used to fight with average masters but not with a superior like Snake 2. Zhang Yuochen would definitely be defeated if he used this sword. Snake 2 blinked her eyes and pouted her red lips before laughing. Are you going to admit that you have lost this fight? No, I won't. I just couldn't fully display my strength while using another person's sword, Zhang Yuochen said flatly. Snake 2 asked, does that mean you have a trump card that you haven't used yet? Zhao Yuochen's eyes became cold and sharp. His blood was running fast because of his war intent. He said in a low voice, if you can execute a superior class ghost level martial technique, I can as well. Everyone's eyes shone with surprise. It was hard to imagine that Lin Yue, who had only been famous for a few months, could practice a superior class ghost level martial technique. Is it even possible? Under public scrutiny, Zhang Yuochen released the invisible power of the shooting star invisible cloak. All of a sudden, he vanished. Snake 2's eyes narrowed. She released her powerful spiritual power and soon detected fluctuations of holy chi in the air. The corner of her mouth curled up and she sneered. What's the use of being invisible? As long as you have chi waves on you, I can instantly pinpoint your location. That's... Suddenly, Snake 2's face became sullen. Surprisingly, a strong force was being emitted from Zhang Yuochen's position, making her feel that some invisible power was pressing against her.